Hi guys, what's up? Toboloco here, and today we are going through the Champions League, what happened in the quarterfinals, and we're going to discuss the semi-finals, the preview of the semi-final, of course. Why am I doing this so late? Because I have a life outside YouTube, unfortunately, and I couldn't get this out in time, but people were actually requesting it, so I figured I'll do it, you know, just to give my thoughts and opinions and stuff. So we've already had the Champions League. Pretty decent quarter-final rounds, to say the least. I'm just going to quickly go through it because a lot of channels have already done it, so I'm just going to quickly speed through it. So first game, talk about Man United Barcelona. This was a little bit of a weird one at the start. Man United held Barcelona at Old Trafford. I mean, they did score thanks to Luis Suarez, but it was only 1-0. And they had the away goal, but Man United only needed to do that at the new camp, and that's not a possibility by any stretch of the imagination. For the first like 6 minutes or so, they did all right. You know, they almost chipped ter Stegen on their line, on his line even, and it was looking pretty strong. And then for some reason they just dropped off, and Messi happened. Basically, Messi actually happened. He nutmegged Fred after an interception. Basically took it round Pogba as well, shot bottom corner straight in, 1-0, and then the second goal obviously was De Gea's really weird sort of mistake. He didn't get his body behind the ball, I don't think, but it was quite a weak shot by Messi. It was. I'm not just saying that, you know, because I hate Man United. It was quite a weak shot, but anyway, it happened. De Gea made a mistake. We all make mistakes. Don't I know that from the Champions League final? But seriously, the Man United were outmatched on the day by Barcelona. Coutinho's goal as well was absolutely superb. He used to do that for Liverpool all the time, so I knew it was coming. When he was getting in that position to shoot, you could tell he was going for one of those shots. You know, it's like one of those shots you do on FIFA, the finesse shot. It's almost like he held down RB, B, or circle if you're on PlayStation, straight in, and that was the end of that for Man United. I think Barcelona were a little bit too good for United, and also United didn't even do much on the day. Like, they weren't attacking, they weren't passing the ball at all. It wasn't until from the start of the match when Rashford almost chipped the keeper. From that point up until when Alexis Sanchez came on, that's when stuff started to turn around. And Alexis Sanchez has been awful all season. He doesn't get much chances, I know, because he's always sat on the bench, but he's just not a good player, and yet still he did more than most of them on the night. So there we had it. We already have Barcelona through. But let's talk about the opponents they'll be facing next is Liverpool. Liverpool versus Porto. This is pretty much a done deal anyway. I think Liverpool are 2-0 up, I think, coming into the second leg, and Liverpool dispatched of Porto pretty well, I'd say. Porto, you know, the scoreline overall was 6-1, okay? But nothing to take away from Porto. They did have their chances, but they just got unlucky on the night, I think. Van Dijk's defending was pretty decent as well. I mean, okay, Porto did score, but I mean, we scored, I think it was 4 on the night or something, but 4-1 to make it 6-1 on aggregate or something. It was pretty standard, I think. Liverpool did really well. There's not really much to say about it, really. Just a standard game. Salah scored, Firmino scored, Mane scored. Just can't get any better than that, can you? And Van Dijk scored as well. So yeah, good performance by Liverpool. If we're looking at the next round, a preview of the next round, do I think Liverpool could beat Barcelona on the day? Possibly. It's going to be a very, very hard one to call. The two semi-finals are very hard to call. I honestly think that Barcelona would win still, but only by a small margin. I don't think they'll crush Liverpool like they did to Man United in the new camp. I think it'll definitely be quite a close game, especially with both teams seemingly being on form in the Champions League. So we'll have to see how Liverpool do in the league. That could determine how they sort of look at this Champions League fixture. If Liverpool are still pushing on in the league, then they might have to slow it down in the Champions League. But I mean, I'm not saying sacrifice one tournament for another, because that's a bad outlook on it. but you know, your league games do dictate how you would do in another tournament. So like I'm gonna get round to right now, like Man City, they got knocked out the Champions League by Spurs, which I'm gonna get onto in a minute. But now that means they're going to push on in the league, which is bad news for us. And it's just like, why is football so annoying sometimes? I was kind of hoping it'll be the opposite. Man City push on the Champions League and they falter in the league. But that's just life, isn't it? But anyway, that's my prediction. Score prediction over the 2 legs for Liverpool-Barcelona. I think it'll be a very tight one. So I reckon 2-1 to Barcelona. I think... you know, they'll probably get their goals at the new camp. I can't really see them getting at Anfield. Anfield's pretty a fortress. But you never know. You never know. It's football, isn't it? But I predict 2-1 Barcelona over the 2 legs. Okay, so you have next. I promised to talk about Man City, Tottenham. So I'm going to do that right now. And what a game this was. Literally, well, the first leg, obviously, Son absolutely destroyed Man City's defence with a great move. It was a great goal. If you remember it, he like managed to keep it on and then he just like dribbled in the box and just tapped it in, sort of thing. So that was 1-0 at Tottenham's ground. They had to do it at the Etihad, which is arguably harder, obviously, because you're away. 2 English teams that know a lot about each other as well, and within the first like 10-15 minutes it was like 2-2. Sterling scored first and then Son scored again like straight afterwards, and then they scored again, so that made it like, I think it was like 3-2 on aggregate. Then Man City made it 3-3. Oh my god, you know what happened anyway, like you all know what happened. It got down to the end, of course. Llorente, did it come off his hand? A lot of people are saying yes and a lot of people are saying no. They did use VAR, and a lot of people are saying, well, they didn't use all the angles, like stuff like that. But like it's really hard, because when you jump up for the ball, your arms naturally come up anyway to get that sort of power to go for the head. But I think Llorente, I think it like clips off his side, but it looks like it clips off his elbow. It's just unfortunate. I think for Man City, that regard anyway. So Spurs went took the lead, and then we almost had like an Aguero moment, version 2, but it was with Sterling. Sterling scored literally in like the 89th minute or whatever. Man City fans erupted. Pep Guardiola went mental on the touchline. They were hugging each other and all that lot. You know, great celebrations. I was kind of thinking to myself, that could be okay, you know, for our league push, you know, it could be alright. And then, what do you know, VAR comes out and says that Aguero was offside. I didn't really see the VAR decision. I was too busy, like, sort of texting people at the time, like, going, oh my god, what is this game all about? But it's just unfortunate, I think. Spurs now march on in the semis now against Ajax. Ajax are probably the most surprising team to be this far. We all thought it. You all thought Juventus would be there, but wasn't to be. Ajax beat them on the night. It was quite a weird one. Ajax have got a really good young unit there. They got really good young players that they've developed. Very different side to what we saw against Man United in the Europa League final a couple of years ago. Back then they were very like sort of like, I wouldn't say mature, I'd say they were very young, like very, very young. But now they're getting into that age where their potential is starting to show. And they showed it against Real Madrid in the last round, and they definitely showed it against Juventus as well. Real Madrid obviously not that great this season, but Juventus, like, you know, top of Serie A by like 20 odd points, got Ronaldo on their team, and they still managed to beat them. I think it just speaks volumes to how much the character this Ajax team has. They got like young, hungry players, obviously, as well. I didn't watch all of it because I was watching the Man City Tottenham game. It was on. It was pretty much on at this. Well, no, it wasn't actually. No, it was on at the same time as the Barcelona game, and I was watching Barcelona. That's what I was doing. But I was keeping an eye on it, and yeah, it was crazy. I think it was like, I can't remember, was it Delay who scored? It must have been who finished off Juventus. In a small way, I'm kind of glad that all the bigger teams have been knocked out apart from Barcelona. It's going to set up a really, really good set of matches for the final. I mean, we could see a Liverpool Spurs final. That's an all English final. That could be pretty insane. Or we could see Ajax versus Liverpool, Ajax versus Barcelona. That would be pretty cool. Any kind of final, like, you're looking at it from two ways. You could look at it from different ways. So you got like Ajax, who haven't been in a Champions League final for years. They could be in there this year. Spurs, who have never been in a Champions League final, in the final maybe. Liverpool, back-to-back finals, possibly. That would be a terrific achievement, especially if they won it the year after. That would be the ultimate redemption. And then you got Barcelona as well, who haven't been there for quite a long time. It's been really good. If you want me to predict the Spurs Ajax game, I personally think that Spurs will go through. I'm sorry, Ajax fans. I know Ajax have got a young, hungry squad, and they've beaten Juventus and Real Madrid. I just think that Spurs might do it this season. I think they might go into the final. I think they want to. And I think the Spurs squad deserves something this season if they're going to win the Champions League. I just think that, from my last prediction, if I think Barcelona are going through, if we had a Barcelona-Spurs final, I think Barcelona will win that final. Although they both were in the same group. Yeah, Barcelona-Spurs final. Barcelona win that one. I'm going to say 2-0 Barcelona in the final. Quickly skip over the Europa League. I did watch it on Thursday. It was fairly decent. Chelsea had a bit of a scare by Slavia Prague. Quite a good run by Slavia Prague, to be honest. Quite a good run, but they're out, unfortunately. You know, Chelsea now in the semi-finals, and so are Arsenal, and they both have a great chance of going through to the final to make an all-English final. Imagine that, a Chelsea-Arsenal final in Europa League. That would be worth watching. Those two battling out for a trophy. I think that Chelsea might win that final, I think. Although Arsenal have been pretty decent in Europa League, and they've beaten Napoli 3-0 as well. That's very convincing. I just think that Chelsea, they got the know-how in these cup finals, I think. They've been in like the Carabao Cup final this year, and despite Kepa's antics, they could have won that. Down to it, I think Chelsea won, Arsenal 0. But anyway, that's just an opinion. This is just all my opinion, I guess. All these predictions and stuff. I'm going to end it there. If you enjoyed this video, if you have, then give it a like. Subscribe if you're new here with notifications on. It'll be really helpful. Check out my Twitter for faster notifications if you're not getting them. Even if you rung the bell, just go onto Twitter. I post all my videos on there anyway. Keep it loco, and I'll see you again for the next video.